Hey, what's up? This is Emmy Mack from RedHook, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire.
All right, girls and guys, I want to welcome you all back to a brand new episode of Interview Under Fire. This is your host, as always, the one and only Sonny here to take you through this episode. And today, I am so excited to welcome the ever so talented, the brutally talented, if I may add, Emmy Mack. It's an honor, finally. I mean, I'm like strung up right now because we've been talking so much before the interview started. Emmy, thank you so much for joining our IUF series today. You know, here we are, right? Creeping up on a big moment for you and the rest of the guys over at RedHook with the drop of your debut studio LP, Postcard from a Living Hell, which is set to unleash hell on April 21st. My neighbors will like this record, whether they admit it or not, okay? Because I live in a quiet neighborhood in Frisco, Texas, and other people, I think I just gave away where I live. But anyway, but in that neighborhood, I'm like, my window is peering over the entire street. So, and I've been blasting all the new music so far this year, and RedHook is no stranger to that. But congrats, all this, by the way, you guys have been picking up so much steam as of late. The reception has been nothing short of spectacular. What is it? Imposter, Off With Your Head, Soju, Say, Jabberwocky, which is my personal favorite. Emmy, I can't wait to unravel so much about this exciting album and everything that went behind this. Before we get to all that, I didn't even ask you, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, how are you? And is it too late to say happy 2023? I mean, it's weird because it's March here, but it's April where you're at. You have this exciting year lined up. I mean, weeks until the album drops. I mean, have you had the chance to just take this all in? I'm gonna drink my Coke if you don't mind. So take it.
Dude, it's been wild. And yeah, like we've kind of been like machine gun firing out these singles over the past, like, God, like it feels like the past year. So it's been go go go, but I'm terrified but also very very excited to finally just unleash hell, unleash the debut, the first record. It's weird, right? There's so much. People keep telling me not to. They're like, "Oh, it's like only your debut album," but then you feel like,
no big deal.
No big deal. You know, you got plenty more.
I think it's okay. It's like the word you said was terrified, which I think in a sense you can make that into a good feeling, because if you didn't care about your music, I mean, you wouldn't be feeling like that. You know, you care about the craft you've made. And before I dive into that a little bit further, we talked about this before the interview. I feel like I have to ask you this now, because what would your Spice Girl name be?
Oh my goodness!
I think my listeners already know at this point how much I'm a fan of the UK pop group.
We were fangirling so hard before the interview.
So hard, you have no idea. Like that's gonna be the outtakes.
To be Psycho Spice. I'd be Psycho Spice, I think.
Dude, okay, I'm gonna create. I say we create that hashtag.
Oh my gosh!
Spice, all right, who knows? This could be an idea for a future song. I'm saving this right now. I'm not even kidding. Psycho Spice, welcome. And here's the thing: having an album drop right in the midst of all this, I feel like it makes things more exciting, right? Emmy, I mean, it's just I want to mention this because you guys are from Sydney. I want to start this off on a crazy note. I know we talked about Psycho Spice, but you guys are from Sydney. Let's go back to 2015, maybe even before that. I got two words for you, okay?
Okay.
Smoke and mirrors. For fans and listeners.
God. How did you?
What did I tell you? I know more about you than you know about yourself.
Holy shit.
Fans and listeners who don't already know, take me through. Take me through.
My goodness.
That
How?
first.
You sleuth. I don't know if I've ever had anybody bring this up to me in a RedHook interview. My God.
Hey, you guys are making the rounds lately. I think this is well deserved to be talked about. Take me to that first interaction between you and Craig all those years ago.
Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying please don't Google smoke and mirrors. I mean, our SEO is terrible anyway, and I'm pretty sure we've deleted everything off the internet, but you never know. So I was like trying to be what I can only describe as like a female Axl Rose. I was obsessed with Guns N' Roses and 80s metal, and I was in an 80s cock rock band called Smoke and Mirrors.
Dude.
And
Oh my goodness. Okay, so cat's out of the bag. Now it's time to re-release some music, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway,
oh my God. Maybe one day when I'm old and I have less shame. But no, look, it was fun. Like we were pretty it was a bit cheesy, but it
Casey's
was really
good.
fun. It is, and it's funny, because like I mean that was what I first kind of fell in love with in music was like, just like fucking 80s music, man, just like fucking wailing, like the super high notes, leather jackets, tight spandex
Dude,
pants.
you're
It was
you're you're pretty much maybe aside from the spandex, I didn't wear spandex, but you're describing my youth, like entering the realm of heavy music. It started with, for me, Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, of course, and we can
yes.
go down the
We
route.
have these parallel journeys. I mean, Spice
It's
Girls, Guns N'
that is
Roses,
crazy.
Natural,
Our hair,
progression.
it's great. You might as well
Yeah.
just go brunette, and I'll just go red. Who knows? We can
Dude,
pull
we
that
just
off
become
too.
best friends. But yeah, it was so I mean, I was doing that for a couple of years and they're really I mean, I don't know how much you know about the Australian kind of scene. And I say scene in like inverted commas because there is really no scene, especially for that kind of music. So
Mhm.
we didn't really go anywhere. The coolest thing we ever did was support Motley Crue. Um, that was probably I think that was 2015,
Holy
but that was
shit.
also right at the precipice where like so our guitarist who was this insane shredder, he left the band and moved to Melbourne, which is terms of geography very far away, like a
Yeah.
9 hour drive from
People that don't
Sydney.
know, the cities in Australia are on the coasts, which is really unique. But
And our country is very large and there's not much in between. So
so Australia is actually one of the first countries I'm going to visit. Either because I'm graduating this year in May.
oh my
After
gosh.
that, I'm gonna see if I can. I have so many friends out there, and I made
Yeah.
those friends based on the guests I've had on my show. We've had Make Them Suffer on. We've had Die Hard is Murder on.
Oh,
North Lane. I mean, shout out to those guys. Anyway, but
yeah, shout out. We big love to all those bands. They're fucking awesome. But yeah, dude, yeah, come over, say good day, hang out.
oh, you bet. So Smoke and Mirrors. I know I'm
Yeah.
just a fan, but I'm just saying. I think it's give the fans what they want.
Oh
I'm
my
just
God,
one of them.
I'll leak you some old demos.
I just leaked so much about you guys, and people are gonna be like, "What the hell?" You know,
I'm gonna have to make sure it's all deleted
so
off the internet before
so
this goes.
I may have opened like a crazy time capsule for you, but Emmy, but do you ever look back on those days, like where this all began? I'm a sentimental person. I know during the
Hmm.
pandemic, like we've had a lot of chance to reflect on. I know I have. I mean, what about you? Do you look on back on those days where this all began, or are you just someone who's like, you know what? I'm gonna put this here. Let me just take it. Let me just
To
start from this point because everything
no,
went by in a blink at the same time. I feel like for you.
yeah, it honestly like I do look back on it with a lot of sentimentality and I think it just shows, especially like for me, just how much I've grown and how much more I know. And because I when I was doing that, like, I was not in the music industry. I was such a like a starry-eyed little noob. I had no idea about anything. And I was just like, I just want to play gigs. I just want to play like sick gigs with my band, and it was it's kind of yeah, like I do look back fondly on those days, but I've learned so much and like done so much since. And it's nice. I was down in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago and went to this just this little venue in Brunswick to see a mate's band play, and I hadn't been there since old Smo Miro played like this little like pub rock festival probably it was probably like 2014 or something like a million years ago. And so it was really nice. It was just like a really nice moment, just being like, oh, this dingy little venue is still the same, but I just, yeah, it just really puts into perspective, like, how much you grow and evolve.
Man, Amy, there's so much. Like, are we going to have time to talk about everything we want to talk about? Let's hope, because
Oh man.
you mentioned about all these parallels that we have a lot of commonalities here. I'm going to get to one of them right now because
Hmm.
well, let me set this up for you because one of the things that makes RedHook is a live presence that you guys have on stage. You know, this is a topic I'll never stop talking about because this is there's an otherworldly sense you guys have feeding off the energy from the crowd. You guys haven't been in Texas yet. Let's make that a possibility. But I've seen the live footage, and I'm like, I'm looking through your like history, like RedHook's history. Have they been to the States? Like when did? And I'm like, oh, we got to make this happen. But Red Hook,
Totally.
RedHook, your live presence. You've been around the block. You guys. By the way, how was Knotfest? You just went to Knotfest. What
Oh
a couple months
yeah.
ago, right?
Yeah, we
Man,
didn't play,
I
but
know,
I
but
was there as a
it,
punter. It was fucking rad, man. It was so good. It was the first time Knotfest has ever come to Australia, so it was
that's
like a
right.
big deal for like the metal community and heavy community here. And it was just a great vibe. Like it was, I mean, that's such a sort of wanky thing to say, but it really, really was. Like
The
it was
wankier,
just
the better. All right, no filter here. I mean, be yourself.
it was really cool. It was yeah, just like a great sense of community. Everyone was so excited. All the bands killed it. The only I got soaked to the bone during North Lane's set. Like it just pissed down, and so that
Man.
wasn't fun. I was just like,
So
I
my
went and bought like a hoodie from merch just to keep myself warm.
dude, so my favorite album last year was is North Lane's Obsidian.
So good,
And what's
so
crazy
good.
also, I think 2 years before that, my favorite album was Make Them Suffer's How to Survive a Funeral.
Oh
Something
yeah,
there's something in the water in Australia with you guys just making this creative music. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't care how you guys do it, but I think it's amazing. And I Australian musicians, there's just that sixth sense that you guys have. It's just it hits you. And same thing with Parkway Drive, and they were there too. They were just here actually a couple months ago, and they absolutely ripped Dallas to shreds in a good way. But
oh, they're
and here's the
incredible.
thing, you're thinking about Knotfest. Who knows? This could be a future for you guys. But I want to mention you performed at Download, Good Things, Stonefest, Big Sound, Us Fest. You performed with some of my personal favorites. I mean, shared the stage with Deftones, Bring Me the
Oh,
Horizon, who are also just here, and this is what I mean about the parallels we have. A band
uh-huh.
I grew up listening to, and we've had them on our show. Jimmy Chamberlain, who's with Smashing Pumpkins. You guys
Oh
have
my
this
God.
tour coming up with them. For crying out
Yeah.
loud, and I was like, am I seeing things like? And of course, no surprise. I mean, Smashing freaking Pumpkins. Like as far as like top albums of my entire life,
Well,
it's Siamese Dream. Like that's an
yes.
album that's like embedded into my DNA. You know, all this that I just threw out at you, right? And you're
Yeah.
continuously shaking your head. I'm seeing it. You don't have to shake your head because you're doing it. Here's the thing, Emmy. What is it about? And I mentioned the live performance. What is it about the music that really brings out the best in you? Because I feel like out of anything you've done in your life, and I've yet to see you perform live in person. That's gonna be a whole different element. I feel like this is where you are really in your element. I'm talking to you here. It's great. But when you're on stage, there's this you tap into a whole different dimension of yourself that's just it's like a release, you know?
It's Psycho Spice, like I said. Yeah,
Dude,
it's
I'm telling you right now. Hashtag that shit. Trademark, copyright, whatever. I'll endorse you.
I love it. But yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny, like when I'm playing the songs, yeah, it's definitely a release. There's so much
Mhm.
catharsis, like, and it is like I do sort of feel like I transform into like this sort of batshit crazy alter ego. And one thing that I've sort of only just really started to get comfortable with is because the performing the songs is like my favorite, but I always the thing I get most nervous about is like talking in between. And I think for a while I felt like I needed to sort of replicate that psychotic energy, like the cliche things that like heavy bands are just like, what the fuck is up?
Yeah.
What go crazy?
And why
But it's
wouldn't you want to because everything you just I feel like, with at least for me, like all
yeah,
that stored up energy that you can't really get to exert out there in the normal world. Well,
yeah,
for us, this is normal. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But when you get up there, you really let it out. You feel so it's like a high you feel, when you're up there.
totally.
And
Yeah.
almost to the point where it's like how do you say it? It's like you're on a trip, like a drug
Yeah, it's
trip.
like, yeah, it's funny because sometimes I'll come off stage and it's just like you think you're on your brain is working in such a different way and you're so in the moment and it's almost like this weird out of body experience. Like sometimes I'll come off stage and I'll just be like, what just happened. I don't really remember.
Yeah,
Like it's like flashes. It's just like a blur. Even when I'm sober. but
man.
um, but yeah, it's funny because when sort of in between songs, I've started to become more comfortable with just like I kind of snap back to who I am now and just this awkward, goofy kind of like person and so I'm sort of like getting like the equilibrium between like because that's who I am when I'm singing and performing, but when I'm talking, this is me. So it's kind of took me a while to kind of get comfortable with that, but
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of in a good place with it now in terms of
Yeah,
the live.
it looks like you're in a good place, and I love that you're doing that. I want you to keep doing that because I think it really it's therapeutic in a way, if I can even call it that, because it's you get up there, do your thing, and it's weird to talk about this. It's I love talking about it, but isn't it weird because this was something that was stripped away from us, what, 3 years ago? And I
Oh
can't believe
yeah.
somehow we aged 3 years, by the way. I'm still recovering from
No, I
dude,
don't think
dude,
that
I'm still
counts,
like mentally getting over 2019. This is weird.
right? Yeah,
Somehow
I
we
don't
aged
think
3 years.
those 3 years are just a like I think that they don't count. So I think that we're all just a year older than we were in 2019.
Aside from the music, it's always intriguing to hear about other aspects of an artist's life that potentially feeds into their creativity and personality, right? Staying busy during the pandemic, right? I know we've time traveled a lot during this conversation. It's crazy. We're time traveling right now, Taylor. I'm talking in the future.
Yeah.
Staying busy during the pandemic, I feel like it really was an important thing, is an important thing. And it was really cool to when they did the whole what is it, stay at home shows or whatever. It was really cool to
Yes.
mosh in your own room, but how much can you do it for, right? I feel like there's like this creative barrier with bands when they did that, and then but I'm asking this because aside from the music, Emmy, did that time perhaps maybe open up new things for you that you may not have been able to discover before about yourself, something that you can take with you going forward? Doesn't necessarily have to involve music. Like I say this all the time. I took up baking the
Yeah,
first
I love that.
couple of months. I never baked in my entire life. Shout out to my sister for teaching me that. But anyway,
Well, that's
it's
a good skill to have for the rest of your life. I sort of in inverted commas learned how to roller skate. I bought a pair of roller skates, and I mean I'm not great at it, but I
man,
learned how to do it and not fall down all the time. So I feel like that's a win. That was a big win.
you're man. I wish we met in the '90s. We would have been BFFs because I had roller skates. I had all that. I had all that stuff growing up. Like you're somehow tapping into my memory like further and further as we go along this conversation. But hey, that's cool. That's so rad that you
I'll
took that
take
up. But
it.
it's and it's cool to talk about what you're doing on stage because we didn't know what life was going to be like 3 years later, 2 years later, and
Mm.
I am 10 times more grateful of the live concert experience. I'm trying to go to as many shows as I can at these days, but I don't know if you feel the same way, like
Oh,
maybe a newfound appreciation for.
absolutely. Like
Yeah,
every time, like every single show that we get to play, it just, yeah, it makes you it makes you so grateful. I still feel that way. And I think there's also like that level of that sort of hangover of trepidation where you're like,
yeah.
even with the Smashing Pumpkin shows, like I'm so excited to
Can't
do
believe
this
you're
tour
playing with them.
until
What the hell?
I
Bring that
dude,
bring
I'm
that tour to the
freaking
States. You got
out.
to bring that to the
Oh
States.
my gosh.
Oh,
I'm freaking out. I'm gonna have to try so hard not to fangirl and to just be like chill. I don't know how I'm gonna go with that. But yeah, like it's like I'm not gonna it's almost like I don't want to let myself get excited about it until I'm on the stage, until I'm there. And I'm like, okay, this is definitely happening.
so this is your podcast. I'm not going to make this about myself, but I have so many stories about the Smash Pumpkins I want to tell you so bad, but
Oh, I
I
love
can tell you
stories.
off camera on a different time, but trust me, that'll be worth the wait. But dude, let's get to a postcard from Leaving Hell. I feel like we talk about everything except the music. This drops on April 21st, all right?
Mhm.
Now, do you have a drink nearby or anything like that? Because I got a lot to say.
I have a vape, so
All
that's
right. All
close
right.
enough.
Go crazy on that because I got a lot to say here. All right. So this is a follow-up to 2021's Bad Decisions, which I went back and heard that. I love that record. I felt that record, which is your debut EP, it really put you guys on the map for not only being one of the more exciting acts to come out of Australia, but as far as getting creative and fun, mixing the genres like metalcore, electronica, and even rap. What's really cool is that new metal's coming back, dude. We're like transporting back in the '90s. You
I
see what I'm saying?
know.
This has been the
It's so
theme of our
good.
conversation. But you guys have blended rap in there too, and you're doing it well. It's not just here, take this and do that. You're actually implementing it well into
Thank you.
your
That's good to
compositions.
know.
I feel like that's another achievement as a whole. You know, it's catchy, energetic, really set the exciting vibe within the fan base as well, and a growing fan base, might I add. You know, I mentioned Bring Me the Horizon. That was a band that came to mind. 21 Pilots, Hands Like Houses,
Oh,
maybe even a little Sum 41 thrown in there.
I love Sum
So
41.
and they
Dude,
were
they
and
did
Sum
the
41
great
was
blend of like rap and metals and
Sum
pop
41
punk.
was here at So What last year. You guys would have fit right like perfectly on that stage.
Don't rub it in, man.
Man, I'm hey, let's work. I know a lot of the organizers of the festival, some of the nicest dudes. I
Oh
would love to
yeah,
help you guys book a show here. Like,
honestly, like
and
they like it's Ollie is like he's been a huge fan of ours for a couple of years, and I
dude,
feel so bad because he wants to get us over there so badly, and like the past 2 years I've had to disappoint him and say no, but once we get a little bit more, like we'll get over there. It's gonna happen. It is gonna happen.
no big deal. Just a
No
shout
big
out from
deal.
Ollie. That's it.
Ollie,
By the way, Bring Me the Horizon killed it here back in October. I think they were here on my birthday actually. With was it Grandson, Knock Loose, and Sick Brain. Holy shit, what a show.
oh, what a
Anyway,
lineup, man.
I mean, yeah, right, mixing of genres, but like I
Yeah.
said, mixing of genres within you guys and all the bands that I mentioned. But while all that's happening, Emmy, you guys dropped that EP, but you guys have also received attention from the likes of Kerrang, Roxanne, Rolling Stone. Again, no big deal. You guys were the 2022 AIR Independent Music Awards nomination for Best Punk EP, and you surpassed tens of millions of streams and counting as we speak. I'm building this up, aren't I? Here's the
You
thing.
are.
Here's the thing, Emmy. Pressure. Do you feel any of that when I'm throwing numbers like that to you? Because hearing all what I just mentioned, when you sit down and write again for a follow up to an EP
Mm.
like Bad Decisions, how do you block out noise, or are you even someone who blocks out noise? You're like, you know what, fuck it, come at me with all that shit, I got this. How do you handle scenarios like that? Open-ended
Um,
question, a loaded question. So
Totally. No, I'm a textbook overthinker, so the noise is definitely there. But I think it's recognizing it and then just being like, okay, yeah, but I'm just gonna do my thing, and it's worked so far. So therefore, in theory, if just keep. I mean, like for me, like songwriting is all about. I mean, two big things for me when it comes to RedHook songs, right?
hmm,
Number one is like having something to say and telling stories that I feel like either I just need to get out, or that I think people will relate to, and maybe some people, like maybe it will help some people with what they're going through. That's number one. And number two is just doing it in a way that feels exciting or feels surprising or feels different. Like you talked about, like the genre of sort of fuckery that we
yeah,
like to do, and that's really important to us because we never want anything. We don't want it to feel stale to us, so we like to keep ourselves on our toes and just keep experimenting with different stuff. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it feels like it does. And I think as long as we keep doing that, um like as long as I feel like as long as I'm happy with the record and with the songs that we write, then like regardless of how they're kind of the world takes them when they're released, you can't control that. But if I put out something I'm proud of, then like I'm you can't have any regrets about doing that.
couldn't have said it any better. I feel like I should have given you the wings for that question, right? Because that's a lot. That's a lot. I put a lot on your shoulders, but hey,
You did.
that's an important question to ask because I mean songs like Imposter, Off with Your Head, Soju, Says, Jabberwocky, and I mentioned Jabberwocky is my personal favorite. First off, I think you have, if you haven't before, you've definitely found your identity with this album now. I wonder, because the album's not out yet as a whole, can
No.
these songs, for the listeners, serve as a I guess, a preview on what's to come on the new record, or are we barely scratching the surface here? I wonder if there are any other surprises awaiting the listener.
There's definitely a few surprises.
Yes. All right.
The heaviest song on the album has not been released.
Dude, don't
So
tell me
there is
that. No.
yeah, the heaviest song is still to be released. So you'll have to wait till the album
Fucking
comes out to
A.
get that one. There's also, and you're gonna love this. So, but for the first time in RedHook kind of songwriting history,
Hmm.
um, I have cheekily incorporated a little bit of the 80s influence in some of the stuff. Like I do get to like wail a little bit. Like there's a song called The Critic that's got like a few little nods to like Pantera and like Ronnie James Dio.
No. Hey, I'm in
Um,
Texas, so we love when you say the word
dude,
Pantera. So that already like raised the
oh
goosebumps
my
on my.
goodness. I know. Yeah, there's a few little like yeah, like little nods to Dimebag and old Phil in that one. There's another song that's the title track, Postcard. It's like yeah, I get to do like a little bit of bluesy shit, which is like it's funny because that's what I'm best at and the thing that I have done the least in RedHook.
You know,
So it's really fun to just get to wail some blues on that song, and it's got like it is. I'm really excited for you to hear that song. I don't know how much I should give away, but it is probably in terms of like the genre mashing, the biggest like fucking like flex that we could possibly do. Like, I mean, I describe it as like the used meets like System of a Down meets like Metallica meets like Nirvana, with a little bit of Guns N' Roses in there.
okay.
So
You can see I'm really trying not to interrupt you while you're talking because that's so much. I'm putting my hand over my mouth right now. People probably can't see this when this airs, but
yeah.
okay, hold on, give me a second. Let me. I'm trying to process what you just told me. Number one, side note: the first concert I ever attended was Dimebag 2 months before he got shot on stage.
Stop. Oh my God,
October,
you saw Dimebag live?
yeah,
Yeah.
Dimebag as when he was with Damage Plan after Pantera
Yeah, yeah,
broke
yeah,
up. October 2004. Crazy day. My mom of all people, and she knew how much I loved it. And the day he died, she's like, hey, that Dimebag guy is on news. I was like, what? Anyway, that was a crazy
Oh,
story. But anyway,
shit.
as far as like when you mentioned Dimebag, that really like hits me like here. So and he put on a hell of a show. Vinny was there too, of course. Rest in peace to those guys. And their cemetery is actually about 30 minutes from where I live, so
Oh
we
my
get to visit that
goodness.
every December. But anyway,
That's
Pantera, when you
incredible.
mentioned that really, it seems like you're really paying homage to the bands that you grew up with. You're mentioning all these bands, right? There's one you haven't mentioned yet. There's
Which
one you
one?
haven't mentioned yet. I wonder if any of the, smoke and mirrors is gonna
Oh,
a hint
oh
of
my
that's gonna
God.
pop up in anywhere of these. I'm rubbing my hands right now. I'm just like, oh man. I'm gonna be sent the album here soon. So I'm already like my mouth is watering. So
I'm
I
excited.
can't wait to
I
hear it.
really hope you dig it. I hope that yeah,
And
we do.
real quick, I want to talk about Imposter because this song, and my brother James, he's one of his favorite bands ever is Yours Truly. So
Oh,
this song,
represent.
it's an anthem for a breakup. First off, I wish I had this song during my last breakup because it really, again, that's another one that really hits you to the core with the lyricism, and the music video is so great. This song is also performed with none other than, of course, Michaela Delgado, who's Yours Truly's vocalist. What was that like having someone like Michaela come into your world of making music together, Emmy? Because I wonder if there was that competitive element in there. Like, okay, I gotta meet her up here. Has it ever gotten to that? I wonder.
Honestly, no, like I love Michaela so much, and we've been friends for a very, very long time. She is incredible. I think there was a little bit of nerves on my part because I
Yeah.
knew how amazing she was going to sound, and I was like, oh, I hope people don't think I'm shit in like comparison. no competition, honestly. It was just like
Yeah.
it was such a beautiful like process. And I don't know if I don't know if you know this, so stop me if you do, but like so when we hit up yours truly to collab. It was purely just because we wanted to collab, and I was like, Mick's voice is gonna sound sick on this song. And then I found out very quickly when we were talking about it that Michaela was going through just a really similar situation to me.
Yes.
And then,
Trauma
like,
bonding.
trauma bonding. We literally trauma bonded on this song, and I already loved the song so much, but it just that whole experience with Michaela and the song meaning so much to both of us just made me love it so much more. And I mean, like, Jabberwocky was my favorite song off the record, but now it's kind of even with Imposter just because they both just mean so much to me. And
Isn't
yeah, like, yeah, it would have like, and Michaela, it was one of those things like, with collabs, like sometimes you hear a collab and it's just like, oh, that's just a collab for the sake of a collab.
Mhm.
Whereas I truly believe that, this song is better for having Michaela on it and for getting her input. And like, she added a couple of lyrics and just like the extra parts, like it just like, yeah, it just made it one of my favorite RedHook songs ever. And I'm so
I was just
grateful
gonna
for
say that. Like, I
that.
feel like if I was just gonna say that, isn't it weird how things work out sometimes? Like, imagine if either one of you weren't going through a breakup, maybe it wouldn't have been as strong
Exactly.
as it has sounded. And
It was
even
surreal, man. It was the time. It was just one of those things where the timing just felt bizarre. It was just like, just like not to be again wanky, but it just felt like, man, like this feels a little bit fatey, like a little bit like fate right now that we're doing this.
man, I really hope it's not the last one either, because you guys have really found a certain kind of chemistry that I feel like you
Mm,
couldn't approach with anybody else. Now, time to do that tour together and bring it here. So
yes,
I mean,
yes.
it only makes sense. Everything we've discussed, it's like timing. Everything's just. I'm just saying, it's gonna be great in the future, and hopefully it's in the near future. And great song. If anyone who hasn't checked it out, what is wrong with you? Go check it out right now. Now, uh, something that just came to me because we talked about the genre blending. I wonder how much do things change from when you first started composing on this album to where you ended up finishing it? I mean, did a lot change in between? Nothing change, or did you already have a specific sound from day one? Because I feel like it sounded like it evolved from day one to where it is as like the final product of all this.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it was we sort of this album, it sort of, I guess, came in kind of dribs and drabs of working on it between tour dates. Because last year, we came out of the gate with COVID, like post COVID, like pretty crazy. Like we spent the entire like last 6 months of last year pretty much just on tour.
Yeah.
So we were just trying every little window that we could snatch to work on the album. We did. So it definitely felt like an evolution. And yeah, I don't know. And I think that one thing that's sort of important to me as well, it like in terms of a body of work, I feel like all the songs, like no two songs are similar. Like it's I just yeah,
No,
I
not at
really
all. At
think
least the ones that I
yeah,
mentioned, definitely not.
yeah, and that's something that I wanted to sort of carry across the entire album, for every song to have its own personality, to have its own message, but then still fit under the, I guess, conceptual umbrella of like the Postcard from a Living Hell universe, for want of a better word.
So here's the thing. I mean, you have an insane voice. Um, and I think you're one of the upcoming like people to really look out for, because I mean your range is ridiculous. First off,
Oh, sorry, thank you.
I gotta
Like,
ask about your dude. I gotta ask about your personal influences, man. Like, how often do you get to talk about this? And please share if you can.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Music related. It doesn't have to be music related,
yeah.
but really, just this is an
Well, I mean,
open
the
ended
Spice
general
Girls,
question.
Spice Girls, obviously. I mean,
You're just
honestly,
saying that. You're just saying that.
I mean,
I
no,
mean that. I mean, I love that answer.
we'll see, baby.
Good.
Like honestly, I think it's hard. I because I all my influences are kind of a bit of a shit fight. Like they're all over the place.
Hmm.
And there's the like everyone from obviously Axl Rose, who I mentioned before, but like, so like Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington,
Oh, you're going down
dude,
my alley
Fred
again.
Durst. I mean, dirty, but Fred Durst, man, like, but I don't know, like Gerard Way, My Chemical Romance. I
I'm
really
muting
value.
myself.
So I guess the thing for me that I value most in other vocalists, um, the thing that influences, I love theatricality, like performers who are really theatrical with their voice, who sort of use their voice like an instrument in terms of like it's not just one thing. You don't get one sound, like they can change it. There's different like tones and different personalities that they can get out of their voice. And I that's what I like to do. I like have different characters that I tap into, um depending on the vibe of the song, whether it's Psycho
Mhm.
Spice or whether it's, I one thing that it drives, I like it, but it still drives me crazy is when I sing Just Clean, I sound very Disney. Like my like default factory setting is like Disney princess.
I love
So,
that though. That's so cool. That's what I mean. How you're how what is it? Diverse your range is. Like it's I mean, make sure you know that.
oh,
That's
thanks,
pretty
man.
amazing. Now you just got to do a cover of Let It Go and we got it.
Oh yeah, all right. Coming soon. We'll do a pop punk, let it go.
Now, the sound itself was a big part of this record that I really loved. I'm an audiophile these days, Emmy. I'm very picky on how I want my music to sound, the way I want it to sound, recording, mixing, mastering, stuff like that. Who did you go to for that? I know it's one thing to write your thoughts on from pen to paper, right? But
Yeah.
when you translate it into the sound, the way you want it to convey to the audience, that's a whole different element. Tell me more about this. Did you take part in this yourself, maybe?
My ears are like notoriously shit. So I when people are like, oh, they're like half a decibel. Like, I don't know. I just have like very like sort of overarching feedback. It's usually just like the vocals aren't loud enough. Like, can we put the vocals up? But honestly, we just have like a really amazing team that we've sort of been working with since the band's inception, which is Craig, my guitarist.
Yeah.
He So there's two songs on the record that he self-produced. Like he's
He's
ridiculously
like a jack of
talented.
all trades here. Wow. Shout out
He's
to
a
him.
jack of all trades, man. Can also sing. He's probably better than me, the motherfucker. He's like
Oh,
so
dude. Okay.
like
Well, let's see.
annoyingly talented
I'll
people.
be the judge of that.
Yeah, yeah. You go check out his Instagram. You'll see. But yeah, and then so we usually work on the demos together, and then we take them to our good mate Stevie Knight, who also works with bands like San Atlantic and Yours Truly, and he's
Yeah.
been like one of my closest mates for like 10 years. So he's very much like a part of the band. And and he also, there's songs like Imposter being like the perfect example. So Imposter um started out as a very, very different song. It was a bit heavier, it had a very different vibe, and I just could not for the life of me write a fucking chorus. I just could not get. I had the verse, I had the pre-chorus, I had the bridge. I just could not write this fucking chorus. So we went to Stevie and we just like sat down with an acoustic guitar and just wrote a brand new chorus, brand new chords just from scratch. And then we built the rest of the song with the elements that I liked and had written around it. And that's how Imposter came together. And Stevie's just, oh, he's a genius. He's incredible. And yeah, a very big part of the sound is his producing work. And then James Paul Wisner, the mixomatosis master. He's our go-to guy for mixing. He always just does such a good job. His mixes are huge. They just always sound so badass. So yeah, that's the team. That's the team, and I trust those guys, and the work they do is always just so consistently awesome. I'd kind of be scared, a little bit scared to go with anyone else because the formula is just it's working.
Emmy, it sounds like you have really, yeah, there's that sense of comfortability in the studio for you, knowing you had this team work
Mm.
with the music that you make. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to freaking Craig for just giving it his all. Like He's
Mm.
insanely talented. You guys are insanely talented, and the chemistry. That's what I saw and heard on this album is that you guys have a lot of chemistry. And another thing that I have to mention is that you also direct your own music videos, which is really
Sometimes.
cool. That's really cool because I went to film school for a couple of years out in LA.
Oh,
So
nice.
so I'm a huge film buff. Again, that's another topic we don't have to talk about because I won't
Totally
stop.
burnt out
Um,
about we could
but
totally burn out about that for an
but
hour.
but man, I feel like did that directing your own work, your music onto the screen, does that teach you another artistic side about yourself, Emmy? I mean, also, I mean, do you have films that maybe inspire you to direct the way you want to direct it and show what you want to show? I also wonder about that.
Oh man, I mean that's a good question. I think um for me, like I'm still a bit of a novice. Like I did, I've done film studies. I used to review movies for Empire Mag as well, but I'm
Oh
still like
man.
very I still feel like a bit of a noob when it comes to the directing side of things. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a massive movie nerd, so I take a lot of inspiration from like even in just the lyrics for RedHook songs. There's like, I mean, low budget horror being the prime example, that is filled with so many nerdy horror movie references in the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, I guess I like genre movies. Um and yeah, I guess I it's fun. I think more so in terms of like the acting than the directing. It's just really, really fun to tap into that really quirky, dark theatrical side and yeah, just like sort of bring the songs to life in that way. And it's a lot of people, although the downside of that, I've been watching a lot of the reaction videos to Imposter because Imposter is probably my favorite music video that we've done so far. And that was directed by an incredibly talented man named Colin Jeffs, but we sort of
Yeah.
conceptualized it together.
Another shout
And
out to Colin.
Colin Jeffs, shout out,
Hell
baby,
yeah.
towards media. And we took some inspo from like sci-fi movies like Jennifer's Body and Species. So where
Oh
Michaela and
man.
I are basically like just morph into these like,
Yeah.
alien
Okay,
monsters.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was really fun. Like that was really, really, really fun. Yeah, just getting to kind of nerd out in just an
Man.
extra level of nerding out.
So we'll have to nerd out on another. I got to bring you back because this is there's so much.
We could go
We
down a
could
rabbit
start our
hole
own
here.
podcast at this point, you and me. I feel like, but I want to get into this topic because I know this. As we're rounding out this interview here, unfortunately, we're running out of time. But this part I really wanted to get into because between writing and then structuring the songs and the production process, right? Keep all this in mind as I'm asking this because
Yep.
the lyricism throughout this album, the subject matters I feel like reflect a lot from the personal experiences from yourself, even your bandmates. We talked about imposter, right? And how that's it was a shared trauma, the experience of a breakup. But then you have a song like Jabberwocky, which I love that song, not only because of how heavy it is, holy shit, because that's not the heaviest song on the album, now you're telling me.
Oh, there is
but
one, yeah.
but even that song, there was a sensitive subject matter. It touches on predatory behaviors, and in a day like today, I
Mm.
feel like this needs to be discussed. It's get people to come up and speak for themselves, and it's really cool because I'm also seeing other people. And I don't know if you've seen it, the messages on your socials, on your YouTube. People are saying this song helped me so much, and it's getting people to come forward. And I begin to think of the tangibles of like themes or messages to your
Mm.
music, Emmy. How important is something like that to you? Is that a big component of songwriting for a band like RedHook?
Honestly, it's probably the most important thing, at least to me, as a lyricist, and
Hmm.
yeah, and who sort of gives the songs their identity and personality. And Jabberwocky, it was there's so much to say about this song. But yeah, I mean, that was something, to put it in perspective, when I started to write this song, I was terrified. I was so
Hmm.
scared to put it out there because it's kind of fucked up sort of thinking about it now, but I was afraid that by being so vulnerable, like Psycho Spice, right? Like I've got like, everybody knows me as this persona, like I'm this crazy, like, you know, I don't know. Like it seemed to be a bit incongruous to, this sort of. There's a line in the song where it's like, you know, they say speak your mind, but I'm far too scared of feeling like a victim. I
Yeah.
didn't want people to see me as a victim, and I was afraid of that. But I remember, like, so we played this song live on our last Headline Australian tour before it was released, and that was really important to me to sort of do that. And that point in time, I was so scared, I almost cut it from the set, and thankfully was talked into not doing that. And that experience of playing it live and sharing the story and how much it resonated with people just in that live space, and how many women especially sort of came up to me and said that sort of stuff like, oh my gosh, like I've never had a song speak to me like this before, like, it makes me feel seen. And that alone was enough to really just be like, no, like I need to release this song, like this is really, really important. And especially in the heavy space, because I feel like, we're always like in heavy music and pop punk music,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like there's almost this
Like a
I don't know, like
stigma, I guess.
stigma, but also like it just seems like there's more stories about, predators like within this community
Yeah.
than there are outside of it. There seems to be like an inordinate number of people who abuse their power, which sucks, and it's really hard. And then I just felt like this big sense of responsibility because there are so many women in this community, and people and just people in general who have had these experiences, and there is still that stigma. And it's just been so incredible to create something that has resonated with so many people and has given them the courage to sort of speak about their own experiences. And yeah, I think it's incredible. It's just really I think that's when music is at its most powerful, when it speaks to people that way, and it can really sort of help people and change their lives even in some small positive way. And that's why I do this. That's more important to me than anything.
What did we say earlier? We talked about how therapeutic this all was. Look at
Oh,
what you're doing,
so therapeutic.
And here's the thing, Emmy, first off, thank you so much for sharing all that, because it's not easy to just talk about this out in the open. The fact that you were able to um transcendence, if that can I can even say that, the way you're able to just translate all your feelings into something productive like this, and you're seeing results, dude. That's what's cool. And that's the important thing. I don't want you to feel like you have to put all this burden on yourself, but look at you're doing. You're doing something not only that is therapeutic for you, but is for other people. And the best part about this is that I hope everyone who listens to this podcast speak up, because it, especially at a time like today, it really resonates. And I think it's really cool to see, very encouraging to see the responses and the reception that it's been getting, and people are sticking up for themselves, and we're here to help them. It's really cool, and you're an ambassador for that. Keep doing that shit, man,
Oh,
because you're knocking
thanks,
it out of the
honey.
park. We've covered a good amount of ground on this awesome conversation already.
Yeah, we
I know
have.
we're approaching the end. Maybe we'll get to that surprise. That's probably what you're waiting for the whole time, huh? Weren't you? I knew it. But
Yeah, I'm nervous.
but again, thank you so much for sharing about who you are, and who RedHook is all about, representing Australia in the form of display that you guys are. You're picking up momentum. Don't forget to celebrate your successes along the way, Emmy. Okay. And that's my personal request over to you, from the different experiences and perspectives in your timeline you have taken in, which we have discussed about, performing for as long as you have, and the people you have met and worked with during this awesome record, the touring, growing fan base, and getting through that goddamn pandemic, the relationship with your bandmates, yourself, and the music. I feel like we're really approaching an important part in RedHook's career with this chapter. And I'm excited to see where you go from here. There's definitely a level of inspiration to what you're doing. I'm going to round out this last question here. Have your aspirations as a musician, as a front woman, hell, a human being, have they changed or evolved since when you first started performing in the industry? Like, do you see things differently today?
In terms of in terms of my goals and
Yeah.
aspirations. Oh man, I think they've continued to change over time. I mean, honestly, like if you went back to 2015 and found little Emmy trying to be Axl Rose fronting Smoke and Mirrors and told her that she'd be playing Download Festival or like, getting or even just getting offers to come to Texas and play So What, um, like that would be mind blowing. Like that's something that I never even would have considered possible. I think it's more just kind of as this is continuing to snowball, I guess the prospects of what is possible change um within your mind, and I think that that's something. I guess yeah, like the sort of the goals get bigger and loftier. Like we're in this position right now where it's like, holy fuck, like I might be able to make a living doing this. And that's something that I never thought was possible. And so I
Yeah.
didn't dare to dream it. But it's just kind of, I just feel like I'm stumbling a lot of the time. I just feel like I'm stumbling around in the dark and just happen to be like sort of heading in the right direction with a lot of people helping me, obviously. But yeah, but it's cool. It's cool. It's been, I hope things keep going the way they're going and that we keep sort of releasing music that people like and that they dig and that yeah. And I mean now it's like cool, next on the list, let's go over to the United States.
Dallas, Texas has to be the first date. That's just my personal
Hell
request.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
um, man, we've done a lot of reflecting. This is great. It's been
I feel
therapeutic
like
for
this has been a
if this is
therapy
like a this is
session.
like a therapy for both of us, I feel
I feel
like,
like I should be paying you for this.
Oh no, this I we're paying each other with our company. That's all that matters, man. But it's been great. Like even for both of us, like we connected on a whole different level. I wasn't prepared for this, and I love it. Real quick, fun fact. So one of my favorite places to visit is Northern California. Where I went to film school in Los Angeles. My friend who I stayed with,
Mhm.
shout out to Brittany. Hopefully, I'm not giving her away, but where I stayed with her in the hills of California. I mean, like where the movie stars live.
Oh shit.
Um, our neighbor was like on a hill. That the house that was on the hill is one of Axl Rose's houses.
Oh my
He,
god,
he was
stop.
he was on tour at the time.
Holy
This
shit.
was back in October 21, 2020. Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
I couldn't go last year,
Wild.
but I'm gonna go again this year.
Yeah,
But
do like a sneaky drive
yeah,
by.
I'll keep you posted. So anyway, I was like, should I mention that to her? Because you mentioned Axl Rose earlier in the
Oh
conversation.
man,
Should I mention that?
you gotta let
I was
me
like,
know.
I
You
I
gotta
need
give
to
me the
mention
full
that to her. But
rundown.
yeah, it was at his house, and then Alyssa Milano lived like maybe one block down from where we were.
That's
Um.
so wild. That's
Anyway,
so wild.
so the one of the best decisions I made going to film school. Anyway, so
Love
now
that.
we're gonna end this on a we went everywhere here. So this it's nighttime for me. You're just
Time
getting the day.
travel.
You're just getting the day started over where you're at. So hopefully it's not too much of a mind trip. You're gonna be it's gonna be a snooze fest for you the whole day. Like, oh,
Oh,
that was therapeutic. Now I'm gonna do something here called. You ready?
okay.
I'm gonna do something called the hot seat. I'm gonna see if you know the lyrics to your own songs. Are you up for that challenge?
Oh my god. Are they RedHook songs
Yes.
or Mirror
Well,
songs? All right, okay.
we'll
Testing
see.
me here.
We'll see.
All right.
So
Okay.
I'm not gonna go. Well, I'm gonna start you off easy. Then I'm gonna go just
Okay.
randomly. Okay. So
All right.
if anything, I'm making you rethink your set list. So there's that.
All right.
You got still a while until on tour with Smashing Pumpkins for crying out loud. Still can't believe you're touring with them, but
Oh no,
hey, you
man.
earned every bit of this, man. Here we go. Ready? I'm gonna read a lyric.
Okay.
You name the song.
Okay.
Started believing you would have to be from another world. Now every day
Impossible.
feels like yeah. See, I didn't have to finish it. Yeah, imposter. I told you I started off easy, right? Okay.
Okay. All right.
Now here's a now, like I said, I'm not going in order.
Okay.
You're all nervous. Look at you. You got this.
I'm
Don't
so
worry about this. You're
nervous.
this is you wrote
Sorry.
these. All right,
Come
here
on,
we go.
brain.
This is a throwback. Sometimes
Okay.
the days just drift away. Sometimes it's hard to see the way.
Oh
Through
my
all the
God.
noise, through all the waste, and that's the way we burn.
Minute on fire.
Yeah,
OG.
that is the first song from RedHook, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
That's a great song. If people who haven't checked it out, again, please do so. All right, let's move down the list here. You're like, what did I get myself into? All right, here we go. All right, next one is I don't express negative feelings very well. And as a consequence, I'm going through hell. This is a great lyric, by the way. On the daily, maybe it's my fault. That's what I'm reading on the internet. These memes have got me all figured out.
Soju.
Should drink some soju while reading that
Oh, I
lyric.
know. Should have
Um,
thought to organize some.
that's a great one. All right, moving on. Hey, you're doing good so far. You know your songs, all right?
All
So,
right. Yeah. Okay.
all right, moving on. Here we go. Next one. Let me see. Which one do I? Yeah, I got this. Up there on your soapbox, so damn loud, preaching about mental health. But the only time you give a fuck is when it affects yourself. When I read this, it feels like poetry. Because you sing it, but then if I'm just reading it, dude, go up to like one of those open mics if you have one in Sydney.
Slam poetry.
Dude, I'm telling you. Okay, what's the song?
Cure for Psycho.
Yeah, man, you're doing great. Yeah, another great song. Here's another one that I really love.
Okay.
I don't think we actually even talked about this yet, but this is actually I'll read this. Like I said, it's like, man, you're adjusting yourself on the screen and everything. Look
I
at you.
know. Like,
All right.
come on, come
All right,
on.
here we go.
I got this.
Did you think that I'd shake and shiver, try to tear me apart like the Ripper? The only shocking thing about this story's twist is people like you exist. Dude.
That is low budget horror.
That's a high budget lyric, I'll tell you that. That's a great song.
Thank you.
Now this one, this is the last one I heard before I was joining, before I signed on, because I'm still deciding what's my favorite RedHook song. This may be it. Now the fantasy is broken. Got me choking on my apologies. Check, please. Thanks for nothing. I'll be going, Mr. Nice Guy. Oh my.
That would be fake.
Yeah.
That is fake.
Man. Dude, you got these songs down stat. All right. I got one more.
To play them so many times. I'm glad that still in the noggin. All right, hit me.
I got one more. It's always funny because when I do this to my guests, it's always the opposite. People will tell me, "Oh yeah, I'll get every song right." They get every song wrong, and then when they get nervous and they don't know every song, they get every song right. This is I don't know how it happens. We had Corey from Trivium on the show a couple of years ago, and he got every song right. And Trivium's got a bunch of albums, you know that. So I was really impressed.
Discography is vastly
insane. I was like, dude, how do you? And these were like deep cuts. I was like reaching. So anyway, last one.
Okay.
I want to make sure that. Okay, I'm just making sure I don't give you a hint. I still care for what it's worth. I don't know why I said those things. You should go because all your friends say that you're too good for me. See, someone always held my hand, but I still broke it myself. I love that line.
Oh, thank you. That is Alien, which is what a very, very special song to me.
Yeah, I know. I chose as the last one. So you did awesome.
Hey, man, what do I win? Do I win the car?
You win a high five in the air.
A high five. I'll take
it. You're gonna be here in Texas soon, hopefully, dude. You're already winning, man. You're touring with one of my favorite bands. You get to, dude. You're gonna do with Billy freaking Corrigan.
I know.
I can't wait to. My brother. So my brother introduced me to Smashing Pumpkins when we grew up together. He lives in Oklahoma right now. My parents are visiting him, but when we had Jimmy Chamberlain on our show from Smashing Pumpkins, the drummer.
Yeah.
My brother is a drummer because of that guy. I surprised my brother James by joining me on the call with Jimmy, and we sang Happy Birthday together. Me and Jimmy, the drummer of Smashing Pumpkins, sung Happy Birthday together.
Oh my God.
My brother James. So I'm just telling you,
brother points.
I'm just telling you, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. You are in great hands on this tour.
I'm so excited. I'm serious.
I'm gonna have to follow up with you after that tour because it's gonna.
Yeah, let's have a debrief for sure. Dude. And also after I watched this Spice Girls cover on your show.
Oh, I gotta send you the link. Yeah, I have to send you the link. So I can't believe you're gonna be watching that. So, Emmy, do you have any last words? Just any shout outs, anything else you'd like to plug in or mention as far as RedHook and the new album before we finish things off here? We're gonna air this around the week of when the album comes out, so we're technically talking into the future ourselves. But the
Perfect.
floor is yours. Whatever you want to, just let it out. Whatever you want to say.
Okay. All I want to say is, yeah, listen to the album. I hope you dig it. Hopefully we'll be getting RedHook's asses to the United States next year. So keen. And yeah, just don't be scared to be your weird, unique self. Because
Yeah. And
life is short and normal people are boring. So
yeah, what is normal anymore? Just be yourself at this point, and
right.
always be yourself. And everyone who's listening, Postcard from Living Hell, you heard it from her, drops April 21st. If you could do me and Emmy and the band a favor, buy the record, because the bands can't do it without your help. It really goes a long way these days. Buy the merch as well. I know there's a lot of discussions going on about merch cuts and stuff like that, and it really pays a lot, and no pun intended, but it goes a long way. But don't forget, you can listen to this podcast on all major podcast streams out there. Check us out at interviewunderfire.com. Emmy, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Much love. Nothing but the best for you and the guys from here on out. Have a great April. I'll see you in 40 minutes on the other side of this month, I guess, because I'm talking to her while it's April 1st over there. It's March 31st here.
Oh
But
yeah, well, I hope that April 1st treats you
and then
well.
you got a tour schedule coming up. Have a great tour. Have a safe tour. I can't wait to see all the sick stuff you guys are gonna do. It's gonna be great. All right. So, and take it all in. Keep celebrating. Do like a blog or something. Just
Yeah, for sure. It's important to stop and smell the pumpkins.
Yeah, smell the pumpkin. I'm quoting you on that. All right, Emmy. Hey, don't be a stranger. Let's stay in touch on the socials, all right? And I will talk to you next time. Hashtag Psycho Spice. I'm gonna endorse that more than anything. So,
I love it.
Oh, and I'll send you the link to my song. I may have to put this on my website soon, because people are gonna be asking about it.
You're gonna have to. I think people are gonna want to see it.
And feel free to judge my voice however you want. We recorded it late on Christmas night in the year of 2020. We're like, hey, let's do a cover song, and we did it.
I love that it was on Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, and the instrumentals are also done by us. Like, we did the drums, bass, guitars, everything. We even did our own kazoos. It's gonna sound it's so crazy. I'm telling you.
I'm so hyped. Yeah, I'm so hyped for this.
All right. I'll send it. I'll let you go, Emmy. All right. Take care.
Thank you so much, Sunny.
All right. I'll talk to you next time. All right. Yeah. Bye bye.
Chasing your tails, hearts change like the weather. Hearts change like the weather.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.